Hello, everybody, and welcome to Menti Breaky Epi Alevi. People seem to not fully hate my solo episode the first time I did it, so we're gonna try another one. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking to myself for another 20-ish minutes and see what happens. I actually hate my hair right now. Should I start this again? I gave myself a haircut because I've been cutting my own hair since 2013. But I just feel like it is too short. Do you ever like shower and then afterwards your hair is like so greasy and like maybe you didn't wash out the conditioner or something? Because I literally just washed it and it's so... Also, if you watch the video of the last solo epi, if you even cared, if you even bothered to watch the video, if you even care about me at all, just kidding. But if you did watch it, you'll see that my hair goes from half up to fully down. And that's because I recorded the last solo episode 3 times because I had so much anxiety over it. And then I just merged together all of my favorite parts. So that's on that. It's called effort, everybody. Okay, I wanted it to be good. Still hate my hair, but I guess we'll just move forward with our lives. So I got a lot of questions and comments on the last solo episode regarding my therapist meeting the guy that I talk about in therapy. And everyone was like, why did you cut the segment so short to then talk about Farm Boy? And I was like, I don't know. I thought the Farm Boy segment would be good too. Anyways, people had a lot of questions, so we're going to answer them now. Number 1, I actually recounted the details of my own love life incorrectly because I guess I forgot. They did not meet at a Jewish event. They met at a volunteer event. So I used to volunteer at a place, and the guy that I talk about in therapy volunteered at the same place. And then my therapist was going to an event for that volunteer organization. And that's why she asked me if I was going, because she knew that I used to volunteer there. And I was like, no, but you know who's planning the whole event? The guy that I talk about in therapy. So I'm going to make up fake names for everyone so that my therapist doesn't get her license revoked. So let's say my therapist's name is Michelle, okay? The guy that I talk about in therapy, let's say his name is Brandon. So my therapist, Michelle, has a boyfriend. Let's say his name is Sam. So Sam, my therapist boyfriend, and Brandon, the guy that I talk about in therapy, know each other because they're both Jewish. So the guy that I talk about in therapy asked Sam if he would come to this event, and Sam is dating my therapist, okay? So then they went to this event, my therapist and her boyfriend, and apparently my therapist's boyfriend is like obsessed with Brandon, like obsessed with the guy that I talk about in therapy, and I'm like, honestly, same, you know? And so my therapist boyfriend goes up to Brandon and goes, oh my God, like so nice to see you, and introduces my therapist to Brandon and is like, Michelle, this is Brandon. He's so great. Like, you know, he's so great. Like, he's organizing this whole event. Like, he's the one who invited us. Like, meet Brandon. And my therapist is like, hello, Brandon. Nice to meet you. Knowing full well and good that Brandon is the guy that I've been talking about every week in therapy. So my therapist had to go up to Brandon and be like, hello, Brandon, so nice to meet you. While her boyfriend was like fangirling over Brandon, knowing damn well what I say in therapy every week about Brandon. By the way, I would like to point out that Brandon is a really great guy. The guy that I talk about every week in therapy. We get along really well, and I think he's a great person. I just, you know, sometimes you talk about a guy in therapy and then your therapist's boyfriend is obsessed with him and goes to an event that he's planning and has to meet him and pretend not to know anything about him. I also never told Brandon this story, or the real Brandon. His name's not Brandon. But I never told Brandon this story because my therapist was like, Monica, I will get disbarred, which is not the word. That's a lawyer word, but like the equivalent to disbarred. So I actually never told him that he met my therapist. But yeah, there will be another event like this for the volunteer organization where Brandon will be organizing it. My therapist, I think, is going to go because her boyfriend's obsessed with Brandon. And then it's like, I could go. And I don't know, like I got feedback from last week saying that I should go for the Menti Breaky community. And Brandon and I, like, we still talk, we get along. Again, he's a great guy. But again, I've never met my therapist in person. So it's like, you know, like I started therapy in COVID days. So it's just always been Zoom therapy. So it's like, I feel like that's so overwhelming. Like, what if she's like 6'4"? What if she has like no legs? I don't know. I've never seen her legs, you know? I have friends too that have never met their therapist. It's just always been Zoom. And so there's this person out there in the wild that knows all of my deepest, darkest secrets. And it's like, I don't even know if they have legs. So that just might be overwhelming. I mean, I'm pretty sure she has legs. I've social media stalked her. I honestly wonder if therapists social media stalk us, because if I was a therapist, I would be freaking looking up my clients. I'd be looking up my clients. I'd be looking up the boys they talk about in therapy. I'd be looking up their family members. I'd be like, T bitch, that's the T. That's probably why I'm not a therapist. Also, if I was a therapist, I'd be like, yeah, that sucks, but like want to hear about me. And then I would get the equivalent of disbarred, whatever that is for therapy. Shout out to my therapist. Love you, girl. Hope you're not mad that I said this. I also did run it by her. I'm like, hey, by the way, I'm telling this story. I'm not saying names. She's like, okay. And then I also did not run it by the guy because he actually has no idea that this is even happening. So I actually love my therapist. I don't know if anyone feels this way, but like I have genuine love emotions towards her, which I don't think is healthy, but I actually think she loves me too. And I'm not saying this from the perspective of like, oh, you know, my therapist loves me and, you know, I think that because she like smiles. I actually think she loves me because like I fucking like, look at me. I'm on a fucking podcast talking shit. How as a therapist could you not love that? And so I do think she loves me. And you know what? You might say that's unhealthy, and that's like the fucking guy in Step Brothers who was like in love with his therapist. But you know what? In Step Brothers, they got married. So eat my ass. Never mind. Sorry for telling you all to eat my ass. That was inappropriate. Okay, I'm trying to think if there was any other questions, comments, or concerns about my therapist meeting the guy that I talk about in therapy. It's just so funny that her boyfriend, she's like, I'm pretty sure my boyfriend has a man crush on the guy that you talk about in therapy, Brandon. And I'm like, yeah, I have a woman crush. I have a woman crush on Brandon, so I understand your boyfriend. But like, that's so fucking funny that like, I just wish I saw her. I would pay such big money to see her just like shake his hand and be like, hello, nice to meet you. And have to like fucking pretend that she's never like heard of this man before. I think that's it. If you have any further questions, comments, or concerns about how my therapist met the guy that I talk about in therapy, let me know. Love you all. So the next thing I want to talk about is egg freezing, because I'm on my egg freezing journey. So I don't know if the Menti Breaky Queens can relate or not, but I haven't really started. Like, I'm at a point where I've been doing these free consultations. So you can have a free consultation with a clinic or whatever the fuck that does egg freezing. And so the first clinic that I spoke to, it was called Evolve. Don't care about really name dropping at this point because their services are public. So they sounded good on the phone, but then I was emailing with the administration or whatever, and she was like, yeah, we'll let you know when we get the referral from your doctor, because they needed a referral from my doctor, which, by the way, a lot of other places don't need that. Why do you need my doctor to tell you if I'm like okay to be egg frozen or not? Anyways, so they were like, we'll let you know right when we get it. So then 2 to 3 days go by and I haven't heard anything. So I call my doctor. She's like, yeah, we sent it 3 days ago. So then I email them being like, have you gotten it? And they're like, oh yeah, we got it. And that might seem like a basic thing. And then she was like, yeah, we got it. We'll send you more information by the end of the day, like next steps. She sent it 4 days later. And okay, normally this would all be not a big deal, like whatever, it's administration. But like, if you're telling me you're going to send it by end of day, send it by end of day. Or be like, oh, we'll send it soon. Fine, then send it in 4 days. But it's like, these are my eggs. Like, what are you going to say next? Like, oh yeah, we'll have your eggs ready for you when you want to get pregnant, like today. And then I have to wait a week. oh yeah, your baby just gonna come in a day, and then I wait 2 years. I don't know, that those are really excessive examples, but I'm just like, I feel like these are my eggs and I don't really want to be like fucking around even on a small level, and it's expensive, so like get it together. So then I had a call with another place and they seemed really good. I was really into them, and then they sent me a breakdown of their costs, and basically every year you have to pay like a storage fee for your frozen eggs. So most places are around $400, and this place was $560 a year for storage fees. And it was the first time I realized like, oh yeah, this is like private healthcare. It's not public. So there would be price variations. But then I was like, what makes one egg freezing place more expensive than another? Like, does this one come with a boyfriend? Does this one come with like a fucking, I don't know, child? What would make me want this place more than the other? Like, why wouldn't you all like be the same price? And then I was thinking to myself, because another place had like a sale, they were like first month free. And I was like, this also feels uncomfortable because I don't really know if I want to be doing like bargain basements with my eggs. Like, what if they were like, oh yeah, your egg for the sale, we put it in like in a freezer that's not on full voltage. I mean, I'm not saying that they do that, but it's like, I don't really think eggs are something to like fuck around with. Or like, oh yeah, we lost one, but you know, lose one, but you paid less. Like I feel like I want to pay a normal price for my egg freezing. I don't know if any of that made sense, but it's like, I don't want to be bargain basementing my eggs. But then also, like, what am I paying a premium for? Anyways, so the place where it was a premium was called Twig. And I guess you should find somewhere where you feel comfortable with your eggs. So I think I'm going to go with a more expensive one. Just because, like, I don't know, it's $160 more a year. But maybe it's like a nicer freezer than my little egg children will grow up in a nice little freezer environment. You know how when you go to the grocery store, the eggs are labeled? It's like cage free, pasture raised. I want to label my eggs in the freezer. I want to have it be like laid by a mentally ill hen who is trying her best. I also wonder if we're going to get to a stage where like people are going to want their eggs to be beside each other. Like I have friends who also froze their eggs, and it's like, I wonder if I can be like, hey, I want my eggs to be beside Sarah's eggs. And then it's like when we hatch the eggs and have kids, it'll be like, you've been friends since the freezer, babes. And everyone's like, we've been friends since birth. And it's like, bitch, I've been friends since the freezer. This riff is going way too far. But that's my egg freezing journey so far. I'll keep you guys updated if you give one fuck at all. Or if you don't, I can talk about my therapist meeting the guy that I like in therapy. But yeah, people have asked me, like, how do you feel about egg freezing? I feel fine. I think it's just like a good insurance policy. And I also just feel like if I freeze my eggs, if I start dating a guy and when I'm like 33, he dumps me, I'm not, it's going to be okay. Or like, if I want to break up with him, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, like, but my children, you know, cause like the eggs will be chilling, literally chilling. Do you get it? Cause it's a freezer. Okay. We're going to move on to the next topic now. So our next topic is my week in stand-up comedy. So I did some really fun shows this week. I haven't done the clitoris joke again. I just haven't been feeling in the mood. People always ask me, they're like, do you do the same set every night? Do you do different sets? I'm like, I do whatever the fuck I feel. Sorry, that was aggressive. But I don't know. Sometimes I'll bring back old jokes that I didn't even remember I had. Or I'm like, oh yeah, I think that's funny again. And then I'll bring that back. I did a 20-minute set for the second time. So that was exciting for me. The first time I did a long set like that, I actually did 25 minutes because it was supposed to be 20, but then I realized that no one was going to light me. So what that means, when someone lights you, it's like you see a light in the back of the room and it means you have 1 minute left. But I was part of a really disorganized show. And so halfway through my set, I was like, probably no one's going to like me. And so I tried to get off stage when I thought it was 20 minutes done. And I ended up doing 25. So that's pretty close, to be honest. It's really hard to tell where you are in a set, especially if you start like crowd working and stop doing jokes. So anyways, I had 15 to 20 minutes at this show that I did on the weekend. And again, I was like, are you going to light me? And he was like, no. I was like, oh, okay, perfect. I was like, well, I'll try to do my time. And then if I'm going over, just like, I don't know, tell me to get off the fucking stage. So I was doing my stuff. And then I was like, okay, I think I have time for more. And I look over and he's like, you literally fucking don't. So I was like, okay, never mind. And I ended up doing 21 minutes and it went really well. So I was happy about that. I'd love to get to like 40 minutes. And I think once I get to 40 minutes, I'll probably just like do my own show and be like, Monica's doing 40 minutes, but not there yet. Another show that I did, it's the show called Rivals, and I've done it now 3 weeks in a row, and basically no one shows up, and it's just like me and my comic friends, and we just fucking like hang out. And I always say to the producer, I'm like, are you even like trying to run a show, or do you just want to hang out with us? But it's honestly so fun because we go, it's this fucking bar that someone got shot in like 5 years ago on the east end of Toronto, and we like wait for people to show up. No one ever does. And then we hang out. And so week 1, no one showed up. Week 2, actually 4 people showed up and we did a show for 4 people. And then week 3, we were like, okay, no one showed up. And we decided to mix it up. And we brought the microphone and speaker outside and we just did comedy on the street. And it's like, sometimes those shows are so fucking fun, you know, because you're just like on the street and you're like, hey, how are you doing in the car? So shit like that is fun. That was my week in comedy. I guess there weren't any jokes in there, but maybe good stories. I don't know. Tell me if you fucking hate me. I also kind of feel, well, I don't kind of feel, and I don't mean for this to sound conceited, but like I think I literally am Mrs. Maisel. I think I literally am her because when I started comedy, everyone was like, you're Mrs. Maisel. So I'm not like making it up. Everyone's saying that. But, you know, like I had an ex who really wanted to do comedy and I started doing comedy like right after I broke up with him, or he broke up with me, but like semantics, like who's keeping track, right? Just like little details, you know, just who cares? Anyways, so yeah, after he broke up with me, and actually that is the story of Mrs. Maisel because he was like, I want to get a divorce. And she's like, are you fucked? Like the rabbi's here. And he was like, yeah. And then he left and then she became a successful comic. So that's me, minus the rabbi being there. Yeah. So I started comedy after my ex really wanted to do comedy. And that is why I'm Mrs. Maisel. I thought there would be more to this story. I put in my outline, I'm Mrs. Maisel, riff on it. But I can't really think of anything else. Okay, now for news. Once again, I didn't really have any like important news updates. I was just thinking, you know, I was listening to some old Fifth Harmony songs and I really miss the days. Like I miss like 2016. I don't even know if that's the year, but I miss like 2016 when Tyga was just like hopping on Fifth Harmony songs for no reason at all. And then he was like dating Kylie Jenner and we all knew that he was dating her like when she was underage, but none of us had proof. So we just kind of like moved on, you know? Like we moved on with our COVID-free lives. Those were the days. Yeah, I want to talk about Kendall Jenner again, honestly. I was talking to my friend about Kendall Jenner because she was like, is there anyone you would switch lives with? And I was like, Kendall Jenner. And she was like, but you don't know Kendall Jenner's life or inner workings. And I was like, I don't have to know Kendall Jenner's life or inner workings to know that I would rather be Kendall Jenner than be myself. And she was like, but you don't know that for sure. And I was like, yes, I fucking do. I mean, it's easy to look at someone and be like, okay, I really want to be that person. But then you take a step back and you're like, okay, like I don't actually, you know, like your friends or whatever. But I think I'm pretty positive looking at Kendall Jenner that I would prefer to be her. Even though I wouldn't care if I crossed her on the street. Maybe I think I have a weird relationship with Kendall Jenner because I get passionate about not caring about her as a person. But then I also want to be her. What does that mean? I'm going to have to talk to my therapist about this. You know what else is crazy that I was thinking about? When you have a crush on a guy these days, you can go to his Instagram page and you can see every other girl that's liking his Instagram posts. And he knows that you can see that. And the other girls can also see the other girls. And I was stalking the girls that liked the guy that I like's pictures, and I was like, these girls seem fucking cool. These girls seem chill. It's like I wanted to reach out to those girls and be like, hey girly. I would never, but I wanted to be like, hey girly, like, hope you're doing well. You're not, because neither am I. But hope you're doing well. Like, do you have a therapist? Because I have a therapist and I love my therapist. And maybe you could get a discount because in therapy, we'd be talking about the same thing, you know? Like, do you want to get a coffee? Do you want to start a coalition? I don't know. They just seem really cool. And I also think of that in terms of like my ex's exes, right? Because I know all of my ex's exes. All of my ex's exes know me. We have a lot in common. And I know that there are girls that are friends with their ex's exes, but I feel like it's because they know each other in life, or they're in like maybe a similar friend group or something like that. But it's like we all know the girls from social media, even if we haven't met them in life, who are friends with our ex's exes. And it's like, I don't know, let's fucking take over the world together. Let's like commit a crime. I don't know, whatever. So there's no Q&A portion today because nobody wrote in. But that's okay. Just fuck me, right? That's fine. But if you do have any questions for Q&A, DM me at Monica Gross Comedy or at Menti Breaky, and I can give some unqualified advice again. Or you can be like, hey, I actually don't think you should be giving unqualified advice because last week you told us that we should murder our precious family to see if he really likes us or not. Which is still, I mean, like, it's objectively correct advice, right? Because you could murder your crush's family and see if he's like still into you. But yeah, I would agree that that's probably inappropriate advice. But if you do want other advice, let me know, write in. And yeah, this has been Epi 11, solo Epi 2. Let me know your thoughts. Hope you're all well. Don't know how many times I'll record this. Don't know if I'm going to cry listening back and be like, what the fuck was wrong with my hair? Have a pimple going on, I don't know if the lighting's good, I don't know if the angle's good, but we're just gonna keep trucking along, everybody. So thank you for being part of this journey with me. Enjoy your lives and write in and comment and subscribe and do all the stuff, or don't, whatever, I don't know. Okay, love you, goodbye.